Have you ever been part of a group where you privately didn't agree with what the majority thought? Well, what if I told you that you were actually and unknowingly part of that majority? This is a psychological phenomenon called pluralistic ignorance, and I'm going to show you how it's influenced something as common as university drinking culture all the way to increasing racial segregation and making the Communist Party in the Soviet Union come to power. Let's get into it. Okay, so how does pluralistic ignorance actually work? Apart from being a mouthful to say, it's also pretty tricky to define. Here's one way you can think about it. It's someone who doesn't believe in something, but thinks that the group does. So they go with what they think the group believes, even though the group doesn't actually believe. And everyone in the group does this. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're one of 100 people in the room, and someone asks for a consensus vote between blue and red. Now they ask whoever likes blue to put their hands up. And everyone puts their hands up, including you. But you don't actually like blue. You prefer red, but you've put in your hands up because that's what everyone else has done. Now, the other 99 people don't like blue either. They privately think the way you think, but have raised their hands because of the same reasons as you have. You don't want to go against what you think the tribe is doing for the fear of being rejected and exiled or embarrassed. But the thing is, everyone feels that way. Everyone chooses something that they don't want because they think that's what the group wants. Now, this is what pluralistic ignorance does. It makes everyone believe in a false consensus. One of the best examples of pluralistic ignorance is a study on American university drinking culture. A group of researchers surveyed a bunch of students on their attitudes towards drinking culture on the campus. Now, most students didn't actually like the excessive drinking culture on campus, but at the same time thought that everyone else liked the excessive drinking culture on campus. So even though most people didn't like the excessive drinking culture, that culture persisted only because they thought everyone else liked it, when in reality most people preferred something a bit more chill. Now it gets a bit more interesting. In a follow-up study, researchers wondered what would happen to the students' attitudes over time. So the men who were less into the drinking culture shifted their attitudes over time to be consistent with what they thought the norm was, and this created a form of cognitive dissonance. Okay, let's just pause right here. Cognitive dissonance is used quite a bit, but people often get it wrong. So cognitive dissonance happens when your behavior doesn't match up with your beliefs and attitudes, and this creates a sense of mental discomfort. Why am I doing something that I don't believe in doing? And to overcome that mental discomfort, to overcome that cognitive dissonance, you have to change something. And it's way easier to change your attitudes than it is to change your behavior. And in this instance, the men shifted their attitudes about drinking to sync up with their behavior to avoid that mental discomfort. They unknowingly created a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, interestingly, women didn't change their attitudes over time. They kept engaging in the excessive drinking behavior even though they didn't like it, only because they thought everyone else wanted to do it. I can't tell what's better and what's worse. And also, I wonder why there's this difference between men and women. I haven't figured that out yet. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments down below. Now let's look at bigger and more consequential effects of pluralistic ignorance. So racial segregation in America became way worse because of pluralistic ignorance. Most white people way overestimated how much other white people wanted segregation. And because they didn't want to go against a tribe, especially something as politically dividing as segregation, you want to stick to what you think the majority believe. Now, moving out of America, pluralistic ignorance also helped bring this false popularity to the Communist Party in the Soviet Union. Most people actually opposed the Communist Party, but at the same time thought that most people supported the Communist Party. And no one wanted to publicly voice their opinions because, fair enough, it's the Communist Party in the Soviet Union. Now, a more recent example is climate change. Now, irrespective of race, religion, political ideology, economic status, age, gender, most people think that we should do something about climate change. But at the same time, most people think that they're in the minority with that opinion. So what happens? There's a lot of efforts driven towards convincing people that we should do something about climate change when most people already believe that. So we're taking away time and resources into actually mitigating climate change and spending it on convincing people that we have to mitigate climate change, even though most people already believe that we need to mitigate climate change. See how frustrating pluralistic ignorance is? How does pluralistic ignorance actually occur? What makes it happen? There's two main factors: conformity and this thing called fundamental attribution error. Now, humans have this tendency to conform with group and social norms. This is deeply rooted in our evolution and in our biology. Now, going against a group is a big no-no for the fear of being rejected. If we lived in the Paleolithic era or the Stone Age, you and I would be part of small groups. And if we went against the tribe, if we went against the group, we would have been exiled. And that is basically a death sentence. So even though we've come so far in our evolution, that deep-rooted fear has stuck with us. So it's natural, it's in our biological and evolutionary tendency to conform to what the group wants, or at least what we think the group wants. And number 2, the fundamental attribution error. This is another concept in psychology. Basically, we over-attribute people's behaviors to their actual beliefs and personality, while under-attributing their behavior to the context and the situation at hand. But we don't do that to ourselves. So we think that other people's behaviors accurately represent how they think and feel, while we think that our behaviors are a bit more nuanced, are dependent on context and environment, and might not actually represent how we think and feel at all times. Now, we can actually do something about pluralistic ignorance. We can solve this problem. People need to have the ability to reveal their true beliefs privately, and at the same time reveal what they think the majority thinks privately as well. And then what you do is you combine that data and you share it with everyone. Now, this might not work every time, but it is a pretty good start. Pluralistic ignorance is one of the most fascinating concept I've come across in psychology. It can affect something as small as a family gathering and something as large as a social and global movement. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. I'm Harris. Once again, if you like this video, like this, subscribe. It will help with the algorithm, and I'll see you again next time. Peace.